We had hoped to have a couple more presenting, but I think a few are at least lurking in the background and will still be able to help out. Welcome to the, I guess, first sort of inaugural TPS Tech Talk Hangout. And okay, that's all right. Anyway, so we're going to look at, hopefully we're looking to do these on an ongoing basis. The hope is we'll sort of refine the process a little bit. I think this first one will be we'll need to grease the gears a little bit as we do more of these. We're going to focus on a tool and also sort of a topic area. We're going to look at using ThingLink, and then we're also going to kind of wrap that around the topic of women's suffrage. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And just as a quick introduction, Taylor Kendall from MSU Denver, and then I'll also let Peggy and Amy, if you want to introduce yourselves.
And this is Peggy O'Neill-Jones at Teaching with Primary Sources at MSU Denver.
And I'm Amy Wilkinson from Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville.
All right. So to start off, I think we just wanted to at least give a quick look at the tool at ThingLink, and I think Peggy's gonna take a look at that, and then we'll jump back in and actually get into sort of looking at it as a tool that could be used in conjunction with primary sources and as a teaching tool. So I'll turn it over to Peggy if you want to take a look at ThingLink.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'll give you a little preview of what ThingLink is. And give me a second here to share my screen. Okay. ThingLink, what we were thinking of using it for a primary source analysis activity. What you can do is we've added a primary source analysis cartoon into ThingLink, and this is a way that people, students, learners, whoever, they can go in and add their annotations to it. We're thinking about this such as when you analyze a primary source and you have that list about what do you observe, what do you reflect upon, what are your questions, that you might be able to do that same process in ThingLink. And we added a color scheme. I think blue is the observation, green are the questioning, and then red would be the reflect, and black would be resources. I'll show you really quickly how to add a resource if I can. My internet's a little slow, so we'll try it. But I click on the edit button, and the edit window comes up very slowly. Let's see if this works. And we watch the little circle go around. There we go. If I wanted to add, for example, a resource on California, I would click there, and then it gives me the opportunity, it gives me the box, do I want to add a link and do I want to add text? I went on to the Library of Congress and I searched for suffrage in California. I found this one of Miss Charlotte Whitney. What I would do is I would copy it, and then I would add the here's my window when I need it. There we go, the editor. I would add the link, and then I could add the text that it was Miss Charlotte, whoever, and then save the tag. And when I save it, then that adds the annotation to it. So we now have our link. Anyway, that's an idea of I should have changed this icon. It should be black. That's just our little color scheme that we were trying. But this is how we're trying to use this tool for just an alternate opportunity or an alternate way of analyzing a primary source. So with that, I'm going to stop screen sharing, and I'll have Amy is going to talk about the analysis process. Amy?
Well, and I just want to share a little bit about the source that we chose before we dive into the observations. And so the source that we chose, and should I go ahead and share my screen?
Yeah.
That'd probably be okay. All right. This is still new for me, so hold on. Here we go.
We have to start by thanking all of you, the brave souls who were in to
This is truly a nice way for all of us to engage with technology and practice, and Google Hangout is definitely new for me. So I piggyback on Peggy's thanks. So here I'm sharing my screen. We're back to the cartoon. So the cartoon that we chose is The Awakening, and we thought that this would be a good cartoon because of the celebrating women, of course, in the springtime, and women's suffrage is usually being taught or had just been taught. So we just thought it would be a good one to highlight. We were having this discussion about which sources would work well in this tool. So when we were looking at sources for women's suffrage in the Library of Congress, in the teachers page, teacher resources page, they have primary source sets. And within that primary source sets, one of them is the women's suffrage primary source set. And if you've ever experienced the primary source sets, they have teacher guides and a set of sources. And The Awakening is one of those sources. In choosing this particular one in the set, there's a lot going on. So the details are really important, having a lot of different details with a lot of concepts going on. And this particular one's called The Awakening. It was the centerfold for the February 20th, 1915 issue of Puck magazine and was drawn by Henry Mayer. Puck was a humor magazine that included political cartoons and satire, and it was originally published in German. The English language edition started in 1877 and ran until 1918. And there is a blog post on Puck and its cartoons if you were to go to Teaching with the Library of Congress blogs and probably search Puck, you'll probably be able to get it. Puck cartoons. So I want to thank Dana Bell for giving this information to us from the Library of Congress. Also within the teacher resources page, there is a women's suffrage timeline for women's suffrage photographs collection, and there's also a timeline from Women of Protest, photographs from the records of the National Women's Party. So I wanted to make sure, we'll share those links for you within the network for sure, so that you are able to access these other sources that you can find. So this is just one of probably many that could have been chosen. But again, there's a lot of details, as you can see. So as we begin, the Library of Congress analysis tool has 3 columns in it: observe, reflect, and question. Kind of shares an inquiry approach to analyzing primary sources. And with that said, we thought this tool might open up a different way of analyzing outside of the 3 columns. So what we're going to do is kind of show you one way that we can do it, like with the color code system. So red is going to be the observations. We would ask students to identify and note details that they see in the source, just what they see. So what do they see? And what we would like is one person, if we can, from the audience who would like to try this. And I'm going to show you how we would add an observation. So when you open up this ThingLink and you edit, oh, I've got to be, am I in the right one? Yes. And then I'll click on something that I noticed. So I'm clicking right here by this torch. I can move it around. and it says link or image address. I'm not adding that. I'm just going to add my observation. I'm going to put observation there just to remind you of what I'm doing. And our color for observation is red. We didn't pick which icon, but you can have the students use the heart to show feeling, maybe use the star to show excitement. I mean, there's a lot of different writing. We're hoping that as teachers that everybody here will share some ideas today. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I've been using hearts, so I'm going to pick a heart, and I noticed a torch. And then I click on Save Tag. And when I go back and save it, you'll see that as it comes up, you'll see that my observation, I notice a torch. And what we would encourage is for students to keep adding their details during this phase, if you will, if you want to call it that. So what I'm going to ask is a volunteer who's out there who if you could, in the chat, Taylor, is that where we would want them to try this and add an observation?
Yep, we were seeing if someone wanted to give it a shot that's watching. I haven't seen any chat come through on Google Plus yet for anyone that would like to try it, but if anyone would, then yeah, just respond in the chat and say you'd like to give it a shot, and then we'll go ahead and post the link. We'll post the link for anyone to go in and try it out. We're asking for a volunteer only because we can't have multiple people editing at the same time. That's one drawback, that it only allows for one person to be editing at a time. So if we don't hear from anyone, then not a big deal. That was a good demonstration, Amy. But we'll see if anyone responds and would like to give it a shot. Any other comments in the meantime while we're waiting?
In case you're looking for it, the chat box is where you went to your original, where the invitation is, where the event is. There's a chat box right below. In fact, maybe I should share my screen and just show them. In our Google site, if you have a observation, you could just type it here, and that's where we would see it, and then we could add it to ThingLink. In fact, it would be nice if so we know who's out there. And
we did. Sorry, Peg, I didn't want to interrupt, but Gay actually did just respond, and she said she'll go ahead and give it a try. So let's. Let me go ahead and I'll post the link to it. So Gay should have access to that link, and we'll see. We'll give you a few minutes to give that a shot. Also, I've provided there's an important linked chat that I've added to both YouTube and the Google Plus page, event page. But you have to scroll down a little bit. Anyway, the ThingLink example link to get to that Awakening cartoon is there as well.
So while we're waiting for to observe, we were hoping we'd have more folks to be able to interact with us, because we really wanted to hear from everyone about these different phases. So when we have students observe, what are some prompts, or how do we help the students look closely and go deeper? Because that is truly a hard challenge that students can have. And really even the distinction between an observation and an inference or something that they think is, about the source. So of course that comes with that teachable moment, but because we really wanted to hear from everyone about these different phases. So when we have students.
Are you still there, Amy?
Yeah, I am, but I don't know. I didn't know what I was seeing. I heard a lag, and then my voice was coming, so I wasn't sure. I don't know. I wasn't sure what was going on. Sorry.
It's all right. You may have had the YouTube channel up. There's about a 10 or 15-second delay in that, so
Do I? Okay.
there's a possibility of that. Anyway,
Okay.
you're good. You're good.
So anyway, without our true audience that we were so hoping to have to get this great conversation going, this just means we're going to have good conversation in the network. We're hoping within this discussion or in this discussion posting. I hope after this event tonight. So. Taylor, do you know if we've had our observation posted, or would you like me to share my screen?
She just got the link and is, I think, currently giving it a shot. So
All right.
we're still okay on timing, and we could probably move on to reflect, and then at that point, her observation should be up there.
Fantastic. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go to full screen. So in the next column within the Library of Congress analysis tool is the reflect. So after the students have a chance to observe, and we're doing it in 3 separate categories, simply and not being free-flowing with the observation reflection questions, just so that we can show you the tool and how we're adding that and making those columns more distinct, the process more distinct. So the reflection piece is really about thinking about those details and observations. So what do those details mean? What are these details telling us about this particular cartoon and its time and place? So what we're hoping is that the students will then start reflecting upon the source. So we would be asking that, what do you think? What do you think is going on with the source? What do the details and observations make you think? What do you think is going on? So to do that, we know that the reflection is going to be blue. So I'm going to edit to add a reflection. Oh, see, I can't do that yet. So this is what you get. Sorry, but you cannot edit this image because Gay Thistle is already editing it. So we know that somebody's doing that.
And I think it looked like she just got done. I saw it update. So
okay.
Gay,
So
if you go ahead and save and close that, Gay, then we should be able to jump back in. If not, yeah, you can refresh and take a look.
So what was interesting, we as a committee, technology committee, we went ahead and we tested this out a little bit prior to doing this, and we had some members put some observations and reflections in here, and you'll notice that this particular one had observed. It seems like these people or women are crawling up out of hell, which is kind of scary, and I thought that this particular one had an observation and a reflection. So I categorized this in the reflect and put it in blue. But I'm wondering if we could have split this one and added an observation and then had a reflection. And I think that's a great teachable moment for students. What do you do when they stick them both together in one? We can then ask them, I can go to something like Gay had added, why are these states identified and the states to the east not identified? So she noticed that the states were identified, so that would be the observation. So the states are identified, and then she ties it to a question, which we have in the green. So why are these states identified? So she noticed that Oregon and the western states, and then she makes the observation that these eastern states are not identified in some of the midwestern states. So it's a great observation. I'm wondering then if we should change this to, I don't know, have observation and question in it.
Yeah, we're obviously able to be much more free-flowing, but I would assume there'd need to be some pretty good structure for students to do the same kind of activity. Only because there is a lot of that sort of overlap that happens, which is great. It's not a bad thing, but you know, teachers would have a better idea of how to structure it to make sure the colors are working the way they think they should.
Well, and it might also think about it as not being necessarily a synchronous or all at one time activity, especially since only one person can edit at a time, that it might be something that's done more over time rather than having students try to do it all at once or in a short amount of time.
Right. Or they could have different photographs or images within the women's suffrage set and bring the discussion together.
So you could have different ThingLink windows. That's not Amy.
So what I don't want to edit this particular one, which I can. Anybody can edit. That's one thing to remember in this tool as they go in. So if I wanted to add something next to it, I think I'm in the wrong browser. I'm sorry. One of my browsers was working well with it and the other one was not. Okay. So what if I wanted to add a reflection to the observation of the states? So I can change the color. We have blue as the observation. I think the states in the West allowed women to vote first. And then I could save my tag. So I can put it right next to this observation of the state if I wanted to. And then click Save Tag, click Save, and then you'll see my reflection there right next to what she noticed. And then, of course, we've even got a question going on there, so we can, too bad we can't make that a multicolor star. I mean, one of the other ideas, too, with the different colors, you could have different groups do the observe, reflect, and question. One group could be blue, one group could be green, one group could be red. So, I mean, I think that's what really we wanted to have with this exercise, was to talk about the different ways that we can have students observe, reflect, and question more deeply with this particular tool. So moving on to question, we know that for those of you who have used the Library of Congress analysis tool, the last column encourages students to question. So you are probably well aware that helping students form meaningful questions will foster their critical thinking and help build a foundation for inquiry learning to occur in their classroom. So to add the question in ThingLink, I would do the same thing. I would edit. We designated it to be green, and everybody thought it was fitting because green means go and ask lots of questions. And I can go ahead. And the key to this is to respond, and looking at the observations and reflections, I would ask my students, what do you wonder about? So after they've done observations and reflections, let me see. I'm going to kind of build on and maybe add a question over here. Oh, hold on. Again, I'm in the wrong. Am I in the wrong tool? Oh.
I think you might just try to save it and jump back in.
No, that's just me. Okay, so you have to click. I'm sorry. It's dragging. And I'm going to add a question, which is green. Why were the eastern states so slow to vote, or to allow? And I might have other ones. Who were allowed to vote? So I might have more questions. I can have, I could put them in one if I wanted to. Of course, you can add more. The one comment that somebody might be thinking of right now, I know we had in our group, is that when you start adding a lot of these, you start covering up the document quite a bit. So it's something to notice.
Yeah. Another, I guess, thing to mention too is that you can play with the size a little bit. I like the option to be able to expand and contract the actual clickable space. So you can make those those tags sort of take up different portions of the image. So if it's a bigger portion that you're looking at, you could have that tag sort of represent that entire piece. So anytime anyone rolled over any section, then that that question or link or whatever it is would be displayed. So I think there's some cool versatility in just being able to specify, what part of the image or what part of the primary source is tied to your annotation.
Well, I think
I was going to say we have them all pretty square and standard, but I was going to point out that you can manipulate those.
I was going to say we have about 4 minutes left, and I wonder if I should show the TPS network. I know that we've done a lot of showing you things without a lot of opportunity to for a discussion. And where that discussion could take place is in the TPS network. And let me show you what that would look like.
And there's a couple questions that have come in. Just so you know, Peggy, if you can leave like just 1 minute, and we have a couple questions. We can answer them real quick though after you're done.
Sure. Okay. Well, I will just say that I'm very glad that we have the questions, and we can extend that conversation in the TPS network. There's a TPS Tech Talk group, and in that group, I'll add a discussion column about ideas, thoughts about using ThingLink. So go ahead and the questions, Taylor.
Yeah, and I think there are actually a couple discussions already set up specific for this. So yeah, there should be space ready to go if you have ideas about how you might use it, or examples of possibly students using it or whatever. So there's some space in there already set up under the discussions.
And you'll be keeping the ThingLink with the Awakening cartoon up so that others can explore after we're done tonight, because that's what we hope you will do. You'll play with the tool and experience it, edit it.
And that is a good segue to one of the questions coming from Anne, who asked if it was possible to watch the recording of this session after it's over. She's got to run out, and yes, this will be archived, and we'll make sure it's available indefinitely on the MSU Denver YouTube page as well as in the network. And then yeah, along with the ThingLink example will be up, so anyone can kind of play with using that we've already set up there. Most of what we've done should all be archived and you can access it again. And then one other question came in from Gay about does every student need to register to use the source? I don't know if Peggy or Amy, if you want to tackle that one, or I can.
They do need to register. I mean, to be able to edit, isn't that right?
No, I don't. As long as it's a public ThingLink, then I don't think the registration has to happen. Yeah, it's a matter of, I think, this basically how you set it up when it's originally created. We made this public so that others could go ahead and add their annotations. So I think it's just a privacy setting initially, whether you want it to be open and public, or if not, then I think students would all have to have their own account, and then they could access kind of a ThingLink that's behind the wall, so to speak.
And let me mention one thing about ThingLink. It isn't that we are necessarily promoting it as a tool, but we're really promoting it as a way to think about how you might have other processes or other tools for doing primary source analysis. And I say that because I know in the TPS network there have been discussions such as using Google Docs to do an annotation, and there are other ideas in there as well. So as you think about this, you might think about the pros and cons of using ThingLink, and you may have ideas that you want to share as well.
So yeah, we're right at 5 o'clock. So again, sorry that this one was a little rough around the edges, but I think we're hoping to just slowly refine these as we do more. Thanks to everyone on the outside who listened in, and to Peggy and Amy. And I did want to mention that we are using the hashtag tpstechtalk. So through Twitter or Google+, anytime you're making reference to these, we're going to try to kind of push that hashtag so that these events, similar events, can be searched and found easily. Anything else? I think that's it.
I just wanted to thank Dana Bell at the Library of Congress Educational Outreach for providing the links to the resources for women's suffrage and for sharing the Awakening cartoon for this exercise. And I also want to say thank you to Linda Mueller, who couldn't make it tonight. She tried to come in. She was one of our presenters, and I know she worked hard to be prepared tonight. So I just wanted to do a shout out real quick.
Good call. Yes, there's always more to these than the faces you see. I think everyone knows that. So thanks to everybody.
Yes, it definitely is all part of the TPS Technology Committee, of which Amy is the chair. So thank you, Amy.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Good night, all.
All right. Until next time. Thanks.
Thank you for coming. Those who came, thank you.
Don't forget to visit the network.
Yeah, that's right.